I have always desired to go camping in the wilderness, far away from the noise and stress of the city. That's why I decided to rent a cabin in the Rocky Mountain National Park, Colorado, known as one of the best states in America for nature lovers. The cabin was situated in a secluded spot near a lake, surrounded by pine trees and snow-capped mountains. It had a cozy and rustic feel, equipped with a fireplace, a kitchen, and a bedroom. I thought it would be the perfect place to relax and enjoy the scenery. I arrived at the cabin on a Friday afternoon after driving for hours from Denver. After unpacking my bags, making some coffee, I sat on the porch, admiring the view. The sun was setting behind the peaks, painting the sky in orange and purple hues. I felt a wave of peace and happiness wash over me. This was exactly what I needed. Deciding to go for a walk around the lake before it got dark, I put on my jacket, grabbed a flashlight, and locked the cabin door. Following a dirt trail that led to the water's edge, the lake was calm and clear, reflecting the stars and the moon. I heard the sound of crickets and owls in the distance, felt the breeze on my face, and smelled the fresh pine. Walking along the shore, enjoying the solitude and the beauty of the night, I was about to turn back to the cabin when I noticed something strange. There was a small boat docked at the other end of the lake near a wooden pier. Something I didn't remember seeing when I arrived. Wondering who owned it and what they were doing there, I felt a surge of curiosity and decided to check it out. Shining my flashlight on the boat, it was a simple rowboat painted white with a blue tarp covering something in the middle. As I reached the pier and stepped onto it, it creaked under my weight. Approaching the boat and lifting the tarp, I wish I hadn't. Under the tarp was a body, a human body. A man dressed in a flannel shirt and jeans with a bloody hole in his chest. His eyes were wide open, staring at me, his mouth twisted in a silent scream. I gasped, dropped the tarp, and felt a jolt of fear and disgust. Who was he? How did he die? Who killed him? I turned around and ran back to the cabin as fast as I could, not looking back, not caring. I just wanted to get away from that horrible sight. I reached the cabin, fumbled with the keys, opened the door, and slammed it behind me. I locked it and leaned against it, panting and shaking, thinking I was safe. Or so I thought. Suddenly, I heard a loud noise, a bang, a gunshot. It came from the window. I looked and saw a flash of light, a bullet shattering the glass and hitting the wall behind me. I ducked and screamed. Someone was shooting at me. Someone was trying to kill me. I crawled to the fireplace, grabbed the poker to defend myself, and looked around to see another window open. A shadow, a figure, a person was climbing in. They had a gun. They were the killer. I jumped up and swung the poker, hitting them in the head. They fell to the floor, and I kept hitting them again and again. I didn't stop. I didn't think. I just acted. I killed them. I dropped the poker, backed away, and looked at the body. A woman dressed in a black coat and hat with a ski mask covering her face. I pulled off the mask and recognized her. The owner of the cabin, the one who rented it to me, the one who gave me the keys, the one who smiled and wished me a good stay. Why? Why did she do this? Why did she kill that man? Why did she try to kill me? What was her motive? What was her plan? I didn't know. I didn't care. I just wanted to get out of there, to live. I grabbed my phone and dialed 911, speaking in a trembling voice, telling them what happened, where I was. When they arrived, they asked me some questions and helped me out. This was the scariest experience I ever had in the wild. I had always harbored the desire to go camping in Wyoming, which was ranked as the best state for camping in America. I had heard about its amazing scenery, wildlife, and hiking trails. When I found a cabin rental near a campsite on Airbnb, I promptly booked it. The cabin looked cozy and rustic, featuring a fireplace, a kitchenette, and a porch. It was situated in a secluded area surrounded by trees and mountains. The campsite, only a few minutes away by foot, boasted a pond, a picnic area, and a playground, making it seem like the perfect place to relax and enjoy nature. I arrived at the cabin on a Friday afternoon after a long drive from Denver. The owner had left the key in a lockbox and texted me the code. I opened the door and stepped inside. The cabin was small but charming, with wooden walls, floors, and furniture. It had a sofa, a coffee table, and a TV in the living room, a bed and a dresser in the bedroom, and a shower and a toilet in the bathroom. The kitchenette was equipped with a fridge, a stove, a microwave, and a sink. Everything looked clean and tidy. I unpacked my bags and decided to explore the campsite. I locked the cabin and followed a dirt path that led to the pond. It was a beautiful day, with clear blue skies and a gentle breeze. The pond was calm and clear, reflecting the surrounding trees. I saw some ducks swimming and some fish jumping. I walked around the pond and found the picnic area, which had tables, benches, and grills. There was no one else there, which I liked, as I preferred the quiet solitude of nature. Continuing my walk, I reached the playground, which had a slide, a swing, and a seesaw. As I approached, I noticed something odd: a teddy bear lying on the ground next to the slide. It was dirty and torn, missing an arm, with stuffing coming out. It looked like it had been there for a long time. I wondered who had left it there and why. A chill ran down my spine. I picked up the teddy bear and threw it into the nearby trash can. I decided to go back to the cabin. I didn't feel like playing anymore. Upon returning to the cabin, I made myself some dinner and a tea on the porch while watching the sunset. The sky transitioned from blue to orange to purple, and the stars began to appear. It was getting dark and cold, so I went inside, lit the fireplace, turned on the TV, and watched some Netflix. I felt cozy and relaxed, prompting me to go to bed early. I brushed my teeth, changed into my pajamas, and crawled into bed. I turned off the lamp and closed my eyes, falling asleep quickly. However, I woke up in the middle of the night, feeling thirsty. I reached for the glass of water on the nightstand, but accidentally knocked it over, hearing it shatter on the floor. Cursing, I got out of bed, turned on the lamp, and looked for the broom, which I found in the closet along with a mop and a dustpan. I swept up the broken glass, threw it in the trash, mopped up the spilled water, and dried the floor. Putting the broom back in the closet, I closed the door, turned off the lamp, and got back into bed. I tried to fall asleep again, but restlessness and uneasiness overcame me. I heard a noise outside that sounded like a branch snapping. Sitting up, I listened and heard footsteps. Someone was walking around the cabin. A surge of fear gripped me. Who was it, and what did they want? I reached for my phone but realized I had left it in the living room, cursing again. I got out of bed and tiptoed to the door, opening it slightly to peek outside. I saw a shadowy figure moving in the dark, tall and thin, wearing a hooded cloak and holding something that looked like a knife. Gasping, I slammed the door, locked it, and pushed the dresser against it. I heard the figure knock on the door, speaking in a raspy voice, repeating, "Hello, hello, hello. I see you, I see you, I see you. Let me in, let me in, let me in." I screamed and backed away from the door, looking for a weapon but finding nothing. Feeling helpless and hopeless, I heard the figure kick the door. It cracked and splintered, about to break soon. I had to escape. I ran to the window, opened it, jumped out, and landed on the ground. I got up and ran to the car, hoping the keys were still in the ignition, and they were. I started the car and drove away. I was on a hike during a vacation I was taking last summer. One of my other plans got cancelled for that day, so the hike was a last-minute decision. The place I was at wasn't known for having a great nature scene. It was mostly flat with woods all around. I was out there because I had nothing better to do. I found it a little odd that along this trail, I kept seeing more paths branching off from the main one. They all looked small and thin, like they had just been made by a few people trying to take a shortcut. One of these paths caught my attention as it went straight off in a different direction than the main trail. Just from the way everything around it looked, I couldn't see any reason someone would go off that way. I tried to look around as far as I could, but the woods were pretty dense and the trees blocked my view. My curiosity got the best of me, and I decided to go down it just to see where it went. I was thinking it probably led to a pond or some other mildly cool place, but really, anything was better than the trail I was on before. I walked for about 15 minutes, which was much further than I was expecting, until I got to the end. It faded out into nothing but grass and trees. I continued walking past the end, just a few steps, and that's when I saw something not too far away. A cabin sitting right in the middle of the woods. The wood had moss covering it, and the ceiling looked like it was about to cave in at any second. I went up to the front of it and saw that the door was missing, yet the trees blocked out most of the sunlight, making the inside hard to see. I took a few more steps closer until I was standing in the doorway. It was still really dark, but I could make out some debris scattered around the floor, destroyed tables and pieces of wood. I held up my phone to provide me with some sort of light source and then walked further inside. There were 2 rooms, both mostly empty aside from the debris, but there was one door in the middle of the hallway that was half open. I looked in and saw a staircase leading down 10 or 15 steps into a basement. It was obviously really creepy, something straight out of a horror movie. But seeing as the entire cabin was empty and very clearly abandoned, I didn't see any actual danger. I walked down to the bottom and was immediately hit with an odor. It smelled like it was infested with rats. I held my phone up toward the opening of the room and found that it was extremely small, like a small walk-in closet made of decaying wood. On the wall was another partially opened door. My phone light barely reached the tiny opening, but I could see that it was some kind of long tunnel. I was too scared to go any closer, so I just stood at the steps and looked. From where I was, I could only see into the first few feet of the tunnel, but it was not well made, crumbling in some parts, and everything past that was completely engulfed in darkness. Fear was slowly building in me, and it was then that I decided I'd had enough. I turned around to go back up the steps, but as my phone passed over the room, figures' eyes lit up in the light, standing in the corner of the room under the stairs. I frantically sprinted up, tripping over the steps as my fear immediately took over me. I ran straight out of the cabin and all the way back to the main trail, not stopping until I was back in my car and driving out of the woods. I'm not sure who it was that I saw or what they were doing there, but the image of their eyes lighting up just a couple of feet from me in that dark basement still gives me nightmares. I always wanted to go camping, but I never had the chance. So, when I saw an online ad for a cabin rental in Yosity National Park, I decided to book it for a weekend. It was a solo trip, just me and nature. I thought it would be fun and relaxing. The cabin was located in a secluded area surrounded by trees and mountains. It was small and cozy, with a fireplace, a kitchen, and a bedroom. There was no electricity or phone service, but I didn't mind. I wanted to disconnect from the world for a while. I arrived on Friday afternoon and unpacked my stuff. I made a fire, cooked some dinner, and read a book. It was peaceful and quiet. I felt happy and free. The next day, I woke up early and went for a hike. The scenery was breathtaking. I saw deer, squirrels, and birds. I took some pictures and enjoyed the fresh air. I returned to the cabin around noon and ate some sandwiches. I decided to take a nap since I was tired from the walk. I don't know how long I slept, but when I woke up, it was dark outside. I checked my watch, and it was almost 10 p.m. I must have slept through the whole afternoon and evening. I felt a bit groggy and thirsty. I got up and went to the kitchen to get some water. That's when I noticed something was wrong. The door of the cabin was open. I was sure I had locked it before I went to bed. I felt a surge of fear and grabbed a knife from the drawer. I walked slowly towards the door and looked outside. There was no one there, just the moon and the stars. I breathed a sigh of relief and closed the door. I locked it again and checked the windows. They were all shut and secure. I wondered who could have opened the door and why. Maybe it was a prank or a mistake. Maybe someone had the wrong cabin. I tried to calm myself down and went back to the bedroom. I put the knife on the nightstand and got into bed. I pulled the blanket over me and closed my eyes, telling myself it was nothing and that I was safe. I was wrong. I heard a noise, a soft scraping sound coming from under the bed. I froze and listened. It sounded like someone was moving or crawling. I felt a cold sweat on my forehead, and my heart started to pound. I reached for the knife, but it was gone. Someone had taken it. I screamed and jumped out of bed. I ran to the door and tried to open it. It was locked from the outside. I banged on it and shouted for help, but no one answered and no one came. I turned around and saw a pair of eyes staring at me from under the bed. They were red and glowing, belonging to a creature that was not human. It had long black hair, sharp teeth, and claws. It smiled and crawled out of its hiding place. It was hungry, and I was its prey. I didn't have time to think. I grabbed the nearest thing I could find, a lamp, and threw it at the creature. It hit its head and made it stagger. I took advantage of the moment and ran to the window. I smashed it with my elbow and jumped out, landing on the ground with a sharp pain in my ankle. Ignoring it, I limped towards my car, hoping the keys were still in the ignition, and they were. I got in, started the engine, and looked back to see the creature coming out of the cabin, fast and furious. It roared and ran after me. I stepped on the gas and drove away as fast as I could, not looking back, just praying that I would make it out alive. And I did. I didn't stop until I reached the nearest town.